Здравейте, фенове на английския футбол, аз съм Методи Ангелов и ние отново сме в нашото студио Футбол Албион, където ви запознаваме с интересни играчи и треньори, подвизавали се в различните нива на английския футбол. Може да ни намерите както в нашия сайт futbolalbion.bg, така и в нашата фейсбук страница Английски футбол и Instagram EnglishFootballBG. За мен е изключително удоволствие да бъдем на гости на един в момента менеджер, но играч, който е легенда за Северна Ирландия. Има над 40 мача, 6 гола, също така се е подвизал в всяко едно ниво на английския футбол, както играл в Висшата лига на Шотландия. Над 100 мача има в Чемпионшип, но нека все пак той да разкаже неговата история. За мен е изключително удоволствие да посрещна Уорън Фийни. Уорън, hello! It's nice to meet you. Вие сте юноша на Лийдс. Как така от Белфаст се озовахте в Лийдс и какви са вашите спомени от този период на Лийдс, в който Дейвид Олири беше така менеджера, извел Лийдс до наистина доста постижения?
I was spotted by a scout, and every holiday, Easter, Christmas, Halloween, I was constantly going to Man United, Glasgow Rangers, Chelsea, Leeds, and from 11, 12 years of age, and it come to the point where I had to make a decision, and I moved to Leeds, and I'm not gonna lie, I got homesick, but I remember my father, he was an ex-player at the airport one day, said to me, if you don't get on that plane, I'll put my foot so far up your backside it'll hurt, and them words have stuck with me to this day. Went over to Leeds, there was 24 of us, stayed in a complex. They were one of the first clubs, them in Blackburn, to actually have a complex on the training base. But in my digs was Alan Smith, who went on to be a fantastic player. Harry Kewell, who were best mates, best man at each other's wedding. Paul Robinson, Jonathan Woodgate. There's so many to name, you know. So we all lived together. But at 4 great years there, and you know what a time under George Graham, under David O'Leary, and you know Leeds were semi-final of the Champions League, and you know great team spirit, great camaraderie. Didn't care who they were playing against. They were, you know, probably the team spirit got them through the majority of it, because you look at some of the teams on the route to the semi-finals. You had AC Milan, you had the famous Real Madrids. Remember Barcelona, Roma. There was just so many, and to get to, you know, the semi-final, and obviously Valencia, you beat them, but you know, they're great players. Great players. I love the club. Great fan base, and you know, it got to the point where I was carrying an injury. I was in the first team squad twice at 18, and I needed a hernia operation, and I had to go into hospital. And because Leeds were where they were, you had their likes Hasselbanks, Robbie Fowler come in, Robbie Keane come in. I knew that I'm going to struggle to get anywhere near, so I made the decision come the end myself to go to Bournemouth, and my career just went on from there.
Правиш професионалния дебют в Борнемут, имаш над 100 мача за този отбор и след това отиваш в Лутън, където печелиш промоция в Лига 1. Какви са спомените ти от Борнемут? Все пак 100 мача не са малко. И след това какво е да станеш шампион в Лига 1?
Bournemouth, lovely place to live, and I've still got a lot of family connections down there. But yeah, I wasn't a player who was happy to sit on the bench. Yeah. You know, I was never disrespectful to a manager, but I think you've got to go and earn your money. Where I look at some players now, and the amount of money in the game, you find a player nowadays, it's nothing to them. You know, they're happy to sit there. I was talking about it yesterday. You get players where, oh, how far is it from my house? Oh, that's too far. I can't get that in my mind. You know, it's our job, and that's one thing that I was always ready to accept, and my family, that my wife knew that, there you go, it's in Bulgaria, so I'm going to Bulgaria. She never stood in my way. And I went down to Bournemouth, down the bottom of England, and loved my time down there. Great club, played with Jermaine Defoe. Yeah. Jermaine come on loan from West Ham, and I think he broke the record. He scored 10 goals in a row at 18 years of age. And then I got a move. Luton came in for me, yes, but I got a move actually to Stockport under Sammy McElroy, and we were tipped. It was funny, we were tipped for promotion, and we ended up the other way. We ended up winning 4 games all year, and I was lucky. I scored 17 goals in 30 games, and I think I had about 5 clubs come in for me. And I remember standing, we were about to play England at Old Trafford, and it was deadline day on the Thursday, and 5 clubs contacted the club, my agent come to the hotel. And this is where I respect agents, but this is where I fell away from an agent for a while, because I wasn't interested in the money. Luton, I knew were going to go into the Championship, and 2 other clubs come in, Barnsley and Huddersfield and Doncaster actually, and my agent says, you're going to one of them, and I went, why? And he goes, because they're going to get my fee. And I went, no I'm not. I said, I want to go to the Championship and test myself. Luton were offering me less money than what the other teams were in the League One. I said, I want to play in the Championship. No. I went, yeah. So they rung Stockport and said, if you want this deal to happen, you've got to pay us. And they went, we have agreed, I think it was 150 or 175,000 in 2005. I said no, and I said, look, I'm going to Luton, end of story, I don't care what. So I got a loyalty bonus, and part of a loyalty bonus I had to pay my agent to make this move happen.
Oh, really?
So people talk about people being greedy. I wanted to test myself in the Championship, and look, that's something, I'm always honest, and that's why for agents for a while I didn't associate myself with them, you know. And obviously you need them, they're massive in the game now, and you know, pick and choose who to speak to, and being honest. But went to Luton and had 2 great years under Mike Newell, fantastic manager. Actually come to Bulgaria. We actually come on a pre-season trip to Bulgaria. In 2005 we played Lokomotiv and Sesiga. Yeah. 8 days and we had a great time. And it was funny because we went back. We were top of the Championship for the first 4 months of the season, and 8 of us got bought that year, and Little Luton, probably the smallest budget in the league, finished 8th. I think our first 4 games were Crystal Palace away, relegated from the Premier League, we beat them 2-1. Southampton on the Tuesday night, relegated that year, beat them 3-2. Leeds on Saturday, we drew 0-0, and West Brom, relegated, beat them 2-1 away. And again, team spirit, you know, with a great trip over here. And 8 of us got bought that year, and I went on to Cardiff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Периода в Кардиф си част от отбора, който играе дори финал за FA Cup. Преотстъпвам си през това време и в Слонзи, дори в шотландската висша лига в Дънди Юнайтед. Разкажи ни малко за сезона, в който Кардиф игра финал за FA Cup срещу Портмут, и след това може да минем вече на шотландския футбол, да кажеш как е там чувството да играеш на стадионите на Селтик и Рейнджърс.
The funny thing was at Cardiff, it was funny because I was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's boot boy at Leeds, and I remember I polished Jimmy's boots every day. I took pride in it, and what they used to do was the old pros used to give their boot boy at Christmas £50, whatever. You were buzzing going home, oh, Jimmy gave me a pair of Nikes 2 sizes too big. So I thought, Gary Kelly gave his boot boy 200 punts at the time, was in euro and pounds. I'm sitting there going, so it was funny. So obviously I went to Cardiff, and the manager then signed Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Robbie Fowler, and I went, oh, here we go again. I'm not going to play. 2 superstars. So, and we were in big games with Northern Ireland at the time. So a good friend of mine, Sean the physio, says, oh, you know Jimmy? And I went, yeah. And he goes, yeah, he pointed you out in the picture. I says, yeah, wait till I see him tomorrow. So obviously I was a pro, so I walked through the doors and Jimmy was there, and he goes, ah, you. I remember 10 years ago when you give me, I was a pro now, so I could tell him, so straight away I stuck it right on him. I said, how tight you were then. But he says, oh no, but there was good banter. But yeah, them two come in and I knew I wasn't going to play, and again I went and asked the manager to go on loan. He went no, and I wasn't one to sit there and accept. I was always respectful, but I wanted to play football. And I went to him again and he goes, you're going to, I think it was Swindon, Sheffield Wednesday, which eventually did come in, but and I said no I'm not. I want to go to Swansea.
Yeah, with Roberto Martinez.
Yes, and he goes, what? I says, I want to go to Swansea. And the funny story was, before I went to Cardiff, I was in the car on the motorway down to Swansea, met Swansea, Kenny Jackett was the manager, agreed everything, come back to Sang, got a phone call, can you meet me at Cardiff? So I drove back to Cardiff, met the manager in a car park, and we got the deal done. That's a footballist, that's crazy. But anyway, so they come in, and I just thought, look, I'm not going to play. So I went down to Swansea, and to be honest, you talk about rivalry. The rivalry is incredible. I would probably say more so than Rangers Celtic, and I've been to Rangers Celtic.
Really?
They detest each other. Yeah, terrible. I warmed up my first game, and the fans, and obviously different language, go back, and I was going, what have I done here? But I have a family connection with Swansea because my granddad was a captain and my father was born there, but I was thinking, what have I done here? And then I come on, lucky the last 20 minutes I come on and scored, so it makes it easier. But I love my time down there. Roberto was probably, if not the best manager I played under. He so cool, and I've learnt a lot what I use now from what I did with him. And I'll just tell you a quick story. We went to Yeovil, we won 3-0, and he I'd scored 2, and he played 4-4-2 away from home. At home, probably the first to play with one in front, but he had 2 wide men literally stay there at home, and named his team at 6:30 on a Tuesday night. And I wasn't in it, and by the time he walked through the door, I had his door booted straight through behind him. He sat down, I went, Gaffer, what the is going on here? And he goes, what? I says, what why am I not playing? What's going on? And he says, what's your job? And I went, to score goals. He goes, on his own tone, nothing higher. What's my job? I said, well, to pick a team to win. Exactly. You're not in it, so accept it. I just, what could I say? What could I say? You know, he was honest with me, and I said, you know, I went, and he was right. I never, as I said, I was never disrespectful, and you know, when I look back at it now, players will walk in, think of themselves, but he's thinking of the bigger picture. And it's one thing I learned, love. Really love my time down there. Good players, good setup, you know.
Yeah. Then you go to Scotland in Dundee United.
Yeah, you know what? Again, I wanted to play, and I'd done England, and I thought I'll go up with Craig Levein. Loved him. I was felt probably the fittest I've ever felt at a football club. He was good, and he obviously had come back from Leicester. But me being a big Rangers man, I wasn't one to sit on the fence, so. Obviously playing with the national team at the time, we had Poland, and Boric was the Celtic goalkeeper, so there was a lot of hype. But the funny story was, whenever we played Rangers, every opportunity I'd go to the games. If the games were on a Sunday, I'd be at Ibrox or whoever they were. But so we played them at Dundee United, and obviously Rangers and Celtic get 3 sides of the stadium, because it's a bit like Milevski, and big fan base, and Sessica, big fan base. So we drew 2-2, but Rangers are going for the league, so I scored. And I'm big mates with Ian Durant and Ali McCoist, and Coisty was a manager at the time. No, it's all right, Walter Smith was a manager, Coisty was on his coaching staff, and Durant was on his coaching staff. So Durant owns a bar in Glasgow, big Rangers bar. So I'd scored, and I was thinking, Durant goes, wouldn't speak to me. You're not welcome in the bar. And I was thinking, he's having a bit of fun here. So serious. No, so serious. Because put Celtic top of the league, and I went, great. And it was funny at the time I'd scored because the Rangers fans gave me a standing ovation when I come off, and my own fans booed me. My own players were coming up to congratulate me, and my head down. I wouldn't celebrate. I was pushing them away. That much I love Rangers. But anyway, we played Celtic 3 weeks later, and I scored. And obviously I probably over celebrated because so I'm on the bus on the way back heading home. Next thing the phone rings, it's Durante, loudspeaker. He's in the car and he goes, "Fino." Says, "Yes, Durante. Down to my bar, son, it's a free bar for you." For scoring against Celtic. So but yeah, look, he congratulated me on winning the championship here with parents. So it's just friends in football, you know, and that's probably what I'm used to, is that old type now, where I look at some now and it's just changed for me, and it's hard to adapt to it, but I've got to, you know.
Дълга кариера в националния отбор на Северна Ирландия. Помниш ли дебюта ти, първата повиквателна? Какво си помисли тогава, като получаваш повиквателна, и кои са ти най-впечатляващите матчове и, разбира се, голове срещу Португалия, Дания? Кой ще запомниш най-много?
My debut was at Liechtenstein away, and I remember it was funny because I got a senior cap before I got an under-21 cap. I was playing football obviously, and you know, scored a few goals and got a call up. And I remember Jimmy Magilton, fantastic player in the Premiership, Jimmy, and Michael Hughes, and we were away to Liechtenstein, beautiful place in the mountains, and we were staying in the lodge. And that night, obviously the game was, but I remember the two of them says, come on with us. So I went for a walk, and they said, look, go and enjoy it, son. Go and enjoy it, no fear, go and play with a smile, go and make a mistake, we're always behind you. And you know what, not that I was nervous, but to have two players like that there, you know what I mean, I thought, you know, because I was an Northern Ireland fan, looked up to them, the two of them played at the highest level, and as I said, made it easier for me. But we had some great nights with Northern Ireland internationally. Probably no disrespect, it was a bit like the Mike Bassett film, if you've seen the English. That was us. We didn't care who we were against. Not a care, that we never changed for anyone. We met up at the terminal bar before the game on Monday. That's the truth, that's the truth. Met up in the terminal bar, still went through the same, and went and beat Spain, England, drew with Portugal, Denmark, didn't care. Did not care who we played. And that's what one thing I always say to my boys. Yes, you know, I was asked the question the other day where we've got Levski, Sesiga, Ludogorets. Look, to me, I respect them all. Whoever we play, I don't care if it's a team in the 3rd division, but I don't fear no one, because it's 11v11. You shouldn't. The day you go into football and fear people, you respect them, and that's the one thing that we have with international. We did not care if it was, and you know, look, some great players, the Kalini's, Nadal. I was at all the played against Nadal, the beast. You know, there's that many could go on. The Germans, Schweinsteigers and Lambs. It's just that many, but we didn't care. We did not care. And with a fantastic team spirit, you know, win, lose or draw, we'd go and have a beer together, and you know, kept us going. And I think we got up to number 22 or 27 in the world, which for a population of 1.8 million people was incredible, you know. But yeah, with some great trips, the England game, and obviously David Healy scoring the hat-trick against Spain. I think he ended up breaking Davor Sukar's qualifying record, and I think it was just beat there by maybe Lewandowski. I think. But it just shows you what an incredible record for you know, to go and do that. And as I say, we had some great nights, great fans, and you know, I always remember one quote from David Beckham. I think there was 14,000 fans in the England game that night, and he said the atmosphere was like 85,000. Yeah. You know, there's one thing, the fans are very, very passionate. But yeah, no, I love my time with international, and also because it was the 3rd generation from my family. My granddad played, my father played, and I got a cap, so we broke a bit of history.
Great,
you know?
Great. What is George best for Northern Ireland?
George, flip me. He's from a minute from where I'm from. I'm an East Belfast boy like him, but for me he's the best. I'm not saying that because I'm biased, but my dad from a young age drilled him into me, and you know, I hardly seen him real, but DVDs, videos, and the one thing about us, we're very, very, you know, loyal to our own people. We get on with everyone, down to earth, but you know, when you have Pele come out and say he was the second best player behind George Best, it's incredible. Probably he didn't get a chance to play, you know, in the world, but what he done in Europe, the night he tore Benfica apart, you know what I mean? It just shows you that what a Benfica team that was with Eusebios, and you know what I mean? I think, yeah, for me, he's still the icon. He's still, murals are still painted all around, and you know, yeah, I would love to have seen him. I would love to have seen him against the players nowadays, because you got to look at them years ago. They were playing on bad pitches. The balls weren't good. You could tackle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look now and you go, he would have just glide past people for footy. He'd be winning penalties left, right and centre, you know? But yeah, he's just, for a small country, you know, to produce somebody like him is phenomenal.
Треньори си взел най-много от футболната игра. Кои са ти любимите менеджери, от които се учиш?
Good question. I always try and be honest with players and what I've learned off my coaches. I always liked honesty. You know, I had Sean O'Driscoll at Bournemouth, who was very, very by the book, but I look back now and Sean made you think. He made you think, where I was probably a bit off the cuff. Sammy McElroy was fiery, and believe it or not, I responded to a manager really having a go at me. I liked it. Mike Newell was respected. Newell was very good. Newell, he wasn't a big lover of looking at the opposition. He was more interested in what we do, just go and work hard. He was always honest. Always honest. Get on to Craig Levine. Craig was, you know, he would like his players to fight, be at a maximum 100% every training session. Very, very fit. And as I say, Roberto was probably the coolest out of them all, but probably the most ruthless, being honest. He was the most ruthless. He had a strong number 2 in Graham Jones, who thinks at Newcastle now, Bonner. But you know, people say good cop, bad cop, but you knew whenever Roberto wasn't pleased, he never lost or changed the tone of voice. But he was ruthless in what he'd done, and you know, very respectful. And as I said, he always, no matter what, everything was done to your face. And it's one thing that I've learned to, you know, I've had managers going in speaking to managers. Oh, keep doing well, you're working hard, but just tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, he was good. I really liked him. I really liked Roberto, probably out of them all. But you know, I take for situations in managing what I can use, what I need to use, and when to use them. And that's the one thing. You always try and be honest. You know.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about who is giving you advices now? Do you look for advices from your friends?
Listen, I spoke to Brendan Rodgers yesterday after the cup final. Congratulated him. As I say, they're always on the phone. The one thing, what I say about Northern Irish people, they're always close. Like 4 of my mates, I think this year, Grant McCann's just won the title with Hull, Michael Duff, with Cheltenham. He's broke history. Brendan, obviously, and David Healy's about to win the league with Linfield. But yeah, I always rely on my ex-coaches and managers. I always speak to them. Even some agents I know who are ex-players. I don't think you can not stop learning and listening. Look, I'll listen to people, I'll take their opinions. Do I use them? It's up to me. What points can I use them? But I think if you think that you have done it and you have been there, that's when you'll feel. And yeah, I speak to you a lot. As I say, there's Brendan, you know, straight after a cup final, straight back to you, you know, and that's why relationships are formed, you know.
But where do you know him from?
Just from Northern Ireland, back home, and he was Nigel Wellington's brother-in-law. And you know, we used to go when he was at Chelsea youth team. We used to use Harlington as now obviously Cobham, but used to use their training facilities before we flew out with Northern Ireland. So I always try and stay in contact. And when I wasn't in work, I was always going into clubs and watching managers train. Went in with Tim Sherwood at Spurs. Tim's a good friend, Les Ferdinand. I always stay in contact with football people, and they're the ones who, no disrespect, the ones that, you know, you learn off. There's ones you'll speak to when you're players. You'll not hear from them for the next 5 years, but you know, we're in that circuit. There's very, very close to Robbie Fowler. Robbie's probably one of my best mates, and you know, I know he's in talks with a club at the minute, but they're just down to earth people. You know, people look at them as if I've been out with Robbie. I did think it was God, believe me. People were following us in cars and everything, but I don't see him like that, and that's what I think people see me as. You know, I don't go begging, I don't try, and I just see them as my friends and work, you know, and it's a big thing. I would never try and go above my own station, because I know what football's like and what it's like, that, you know, you get too big for your boots, and, you know.
Yeah. Okay, you have played against Messi and Ronaldo. Tell us more about who is the better player for you. What's like to play against those two? Watching
them on the TV, I would have probably said Ronaldo. But what a player, what an unbelievable player he is. But playing against the two of them live, Messi was exceptional. I mean, he was that low sense of gravity. I think I tried to kick him about 6 times and I couldn't get near him. I mean, he just, it was like a bull in a bullfight. He couldn't, honestly. I was running everywhere trying to get near him, and he was just so, he used your body. He was that good at using your body to spin round, and the ball was glued to his feet constant. Ronaldo was pure power, pure pace, don't get me wrong, ability, unbelievable ability, but for me Messi was exceptional. And one other one, it was funny because I think it was put in a recovery position for about 6 days after. We played Italy one day, and the manager said to me, I want you to my head's spinning thinking about it. He says, I want you to man mark this player, and I was thinking, oh no, who's this? Who was it? Pirlo? I mean, I never left him. If he run to the toilet, I was, and you know what? I still couldn't get the ball off. He was so relaxed at receiving the ball with people coming up behind him. And the good thing was, the players always knew what side, the safe side to play. And I remember after the game, my head was like a strawberry. But that was an experience, believe me. But yeah, I played some great players, a lot. When I was a kid, Fernando Hierro always stuck in my mind. You know, was he 5-time La Liga winner, 3 Champions League, took off his shirt, hugged me, kissed me, wished me all the best at 20. And probably the worst one was Carvalho, Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? You know why? We played Portugal and we drew 1-1. You always show respect after a game. Swap shirt. No, wouldn't shake hands. I went, what? He said, so we had a few words. So I said, you know, the old swear words. That night we went out into a nightclub in Belfast. Who was there? Carvalho and Bo Morte and a few of the Portuguese. Yeah. Obviously a couple of beers in me. I was like, you me and him in the nightclub not having a fun. I let him know. But he's probably the only one that didn't out of them all, but all the rest were good. But it's football, isn't it? That's what makes it the best game in the world, you know. But he was a good player, good player. Tough.
What do you remember for Bulgarian football before you came here?
You know what? I've had this, and Dancho will tell you, I can't believe, and I'm not disrespecting the Bulgarian football, but the aggression of what the 94 team was. Yeah. For me, I love my strikers. Bulgaria's got 2 in my top 5 strikers of all time. Stoichkov, Berbatov. I think they're unbelievable footballers. Stoichkov was, I loved watching him with Romario at Barcelona. He just done things that you wouldn't imagine. And you know, growing up as a kid, you always knew it was the big CSK Sofia, the big European, Levski the same. You know, I look at the boy Trifonov, I remember Rapid Vienna, Bolakovs, you know what I mean, Lubo, Penef, mate, and you know what, I sat with Lubo one day and you know what he said to me, I asked him the question, you know what he said to me, you look at the many players we had playing outside the country at the time, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, I remember Ludogorets going over to Northern Ireland, Crusaders, 4 years ago, they beat them 9-0. I love football, you know, and I knew, yeah, but I'd love to get them back to where they were because, as I say, it's a great country, great people. I love my time out here, I just don't any opportunities to go and watch as many games as I can. And I'd love to see them back to what they were. You know, it'll take time, and you know, but I don't see why not, because it's a great footballing country.
Можеш ли да направиш сравнение между нивото на Б групата и като цял българския футбол с това в Championship, Лига 1 и дори Висшата лига на Шотландия?
Yeah, obviously I'd lost a bit of interest in football because I was never a person to and I know it goes on, but try and what's the word I'm going to use, you know, have someone's back in the game. I was always honest, and I lost a bit of interest with the amount of times it happened to me, so I decided to move my family back home. Just thought I'd give up on it, can't do it, too many. And I took a job up back home, and then I got a phone call, do you want to go to Bulgaria? And I went, Bulgaria? And I went, yeah, I'll go and have a look at it, come out. It was first time I've been here, lovely, beautiful, lovely place, lovely people. And I looked at the team and I thought, no disrespect them, but I think there was 27 one night I watched train here, and I went, one, there's too many, and I says we need quality over quantity. I think I got rid of all of them. And eventually, but I got rid of 7 in my first 2 days, cut it down to 20, and then come that summer I got rid of another 16. The rebuild, and you know, people talk about us having a big budget. We don't. With a competitive budget, I'll put in areas where, you know, as I said, with 27, but I've got 15 men. There's 3 kids on the bench, and this is what everyone gets carried away, probably with a hype, and I'll use my budget right. But yeah, and look, I took the opportunity and I come, and you know, I thought it needs a rebuild. I know you don't get a lot of time looking at managers in Bulgaria, but as I said, you've got good owners, good people around me. Great togetherness here now, and that's what I want to do. And look, we're delighted we've got to where we are. You know, we're looking forward to going into the big league, and that'll be a test for us, but one, as I say, we're not fear. You know, in England, the situation for me, the Championship, I'd probably say the comparison, it's a lot faster in England, a lot faster. The tempo, you've got to look, them boys train for 46 league games straight away, plus potentially cup games. You could be over 55, 60 games a season, and you know, the first month there's 8 games in 3 weeks. You have a cup game before the league starts. But you've good players. Look, I'm not going to lie, you have players in the Championship now on 50,000 a week, which you can see why. You know, they do say it's the hardest league in the world. You know, I take for instance Graham Carey. Graham's a great kid, good footballer. Got into League 1, so probably the best player in League 2 for Plymouth. Best player in League 2. Got into League 1, done well in League 1, and that's the comparison. Just that, you know, I think with England now, all players want to play in England because there is a lot of money involved, even in the lower leagues. There's clubs pay a lot of money in the lower leagues, you know, and but yeah, that's the only thing. You know, I've always said Bulgaria very technical, but you know, I'd look at England, and this isn't being disrespectful, but the game's a lot faster. You know, there's a lot more athletes, you've a lot more good footballers, and as I said, it's the tempo and the pace they want to play at. You know, like you just look at the teams in the Championship. You know, especially teams getting into it this year. Your Sheffield Uniteds, Fulham's, they're massive clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big budgets. Leeds got it. Took Leeds what, 16 years was it? 15, 16 years. They get into the Premier League, and that's what you're up against. It's crazy. Watford there. You know, but no, look, I love here. I think that's, you know, great. I'm excited for next year. because it's good teams, and you know, we want to get Bulgaria football back to where it is.
Школата на Пирин Благоевград е известна с младите таланти, които произвеждат. Димитър Бербатов също е продукт на тази школа. Ще има ли следващи Димитър Бербатов, Ивайло Андонов, Петър Михтарски за Пирин в следващите сезони? The legend.
You know what? I've always said it's down to the kids. You know, I'm a big believer, and ex-player once said to me, if you remember him, David Batty. And I remember being injured one day, and Bats, believe it or not, hated football. He hated football with a passion, big into his motorbikes. Oh, unbelievable! And he had a bad Achilles, and it was a kid that was injured one day, and was sat there. And says, Bats, like, to get there with you, he says, as a kid, remember they're only work colleagues. It's you against 500 in the academy. And here, parents get great history, and I've always said it. If one kid comes through, it's an absolute bonus for us. I gave one his debut the other night, Ivalo, and you just look at the history. You know, you've got the legend over there, I call him Matarski. But look at how happy he is. Every day comes in, he's happy. What you said, Berbatov. Of course, it's a great region. It's a great region for players, and you know, and we'll guide them. But as I say, dear, I'm a big believer, and it's how hard and who wants to work the hardest. I would take. As a kid, I take attitude over ability, because, you know, the ability will come. Obviously, I think you can look too far into coaching, and I know people want their teams, young ages, to defend their shape. For me, as long as you can control the ball and pass the ball, I think that's the most important. You want a kid going out in the pitch to be Ronaldo, to be Messi, to be the best player. You don't want a kid like a robot. Oh, I want you back here. You want their ability to shine through, and that's what I'm a big believer. Just always say, just let them control the ball, pass the ball. The rest will take care of itself, and that's what I'm a believer. You know.
Yes. Thank you very much.
No problem. Anytime, more than welcome.
Thank